This is a quick video to talk to you about how to develop this dollhouse. And the end result is here a collection of panels and some furniture. So in the model space, we'll start here. I gave everyone a handout with this information that gives you dimensions. This is a dollhouse that was taken online, and I created here a better representation of the dimensions for the panel. Now this is part of the review for our final exam, and so it's review, but if you haven't decided on a final project yet, because you haven't designed or built anything, you can use this dollhouse as part of your final project. So we don't need dimensions on this part of it, but if you wanted to have fractional dimensions, you could type in D and enter, pick modify, and in the primary units tab use fractional instead of the decimal and architectural that we've been using. So the first thing that you would do is, when you start a brand new drawing, type in units, UNITS, and change your length type up here at the top left to fractional if you'd like to use fractional, or architectural, which will give you the feet and inches, either one. So you can type in 29-5/8, or you can figure out the equivalent of the fraction. So for example, 20.5 inches would be 20.5. So once you create here these project panels, then you're ready to give them a depth or a thickness, let's say. Using press pull, and then use 3D rotate to rotate them up 90 degrees and then move them into place. That is actually the concept of using of creating this dollhouse. I only have 3 different ones here because I use these to show the process, and it's up to you. But if you created here the panels right next to the house, so for example, instead of creating them in the same way as the handout, what if I created this panel, the side profile panel, so that it's right there, so that when I did a 3D rotate, it would be in the right direction, so I wouldn't have to rotate it around. Like for instance, this back panel is back here, right? But in order for me to line it up, I would have to rotate it using the regular rotate command to rotate it to look here something like that. Then I would have to move it into place. Okay? And when you use 3D rotate, I'll change my workspace to 3D modeling. Once you've created it in the 2D format and used here the press pull to give it its depth, you can use 3D rotate, which is right here next to erase or diagonal from erase, to select your object and enter it, and then pick a base point, and then decide on which ring to use to rotate these objects. So in this case, I'd want this green one along the bottom. I can now click and type in 90 and enter. Now if this happens to you, I'll do an undo because I'll have to use -90. So I'll start I did an undo, which is up here, the arrow curving to the left, and then 3D rotate, select here the panel, enter it, pick a base point, pick which axis you'd like, and then you can type in -90 to create a panel that will be in the right direction. So when you move this back panel into place, you're going to be careful where you click. I'll go ahead and delete this one. So when I put my back panel on here, I'm going to start the move command, select this panel and enter it, and then I'm going to pick here the inside corner right here where I want to pick it up, and then come over here and pick this outside corner. See, so it goes right flush with it. So when you look at this in plan, and I'll go ahead and go to the top view, the base or floor here is going to have the back panel that will extend from the floor. See what I mean? So there's a small depth on both sides. And then these two side panels start from the back panel and go all the way to touch the floor here. And then you can see that this one is nested between the side panel here that sticks out and this other side panel that is the exact dimension of the floor. So when I move this into place, I want to make sure that I'm picking the right corners in order to move it into place. So I'll come back here again. If I need to, as an example, move this one, I'll move it over here. So I need to move this one into place. I know that when I start the move command and select this panel and enter it, I know that this front left corner right here is where I want to pick it up. I'll go ahead and click. And then over here, I want it to nest back inside here. I'll pick this right hand corner right here. Okay? The roof is not required, but you can see how I created a thickness for the roof right in plan, and then use press pull to create this kind of V shape with the ridge and the roof shape, and then 3D rotate it and move it into place. And the furniture is nothing more than here a rectangle with a couple of cylinders, and then when you union them, you'll see this edge here if you even decide to union them. The bookshelf I did make as a series of separate rectangles and move them into place, but another option would be to create a rectangle of this entire mass and then draw on the face of this rectangle your openings and use press pull to take those out. So this video comes at the end of the class when you've already experienced here drawing in 2D and using press pull with the combination of using here 3D rotate and moving those panels into place. The last thing would be to talk about this lamp. Although on the final there will only be a couple of pieces of furniture like the bed and the bookshelf, you can use for this lamp, first of all, a cylinder that's flat and another cylinder that comes up here tall. And then this one here, I used the tool we talked about in class called Revolve. I created a profile. Here's the profile. And then I use Revolve to select here those shapes that we're going to revolve and then enter. And then pick 2 points to establish the start point of the axis and the end point of the axis that we want to rotate around. You see how I am now creating a surface. I can press enter to accept 360, which is all the way around. And now I have my 3D shape. I can then use 3D rotate to select here this lamp shade, pick a base point, click on the ring that I'm going to use for the rotation, and then instead of typing in 90, another choice would be to pull your mouse along an axis here and then click for the angle that you want to use as your starting angle, and then see how I'm able to pull my mouse straight down and kind of dynamically find the vertical polar tracking so that I can click again and rotate it. Instead of typing in 90, I can pick points to establish the rotation angle. And then I would then move it into place. You can use a regular move to select the lampshade and find the center of the bottom platform, and then over here find the center object snap of the pole. We already went through how to create here a layout, so you can either use one of the earlier videos posted, or I can help you in class before the exam. You can click on layout 1 after creating. You have a choice of either creating a viewport layer and making that viewport layer here a no plot layer, or some of what we did in class is we were able to, as a choice, stretch the viewport out beyond the margins of the paper, which are these dashed lines, so that that box doesn't show when you print. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. I can help you with this before the final exam. One more thing, there on this dollhouse there is no dimension for where these interior walls are. So what you would do then, I'll just move this off. What you would do then is move it to the floor. So I'm taking it off. I might say move and use the move command, select the panel and enter it. And then what I could do is click on this corner and bring my mouse over here and click on, let's say, the midpoint here. And it brings it in, but it brings it in here in the middle of the window. I could use move to move it along this floor, or you can click right on top of your object and use these arrows to slide it over. The only thing here is you almost have to turn off your object snaps right down here, the 6th icon, so that you can pull it over to where you want it and left click. And the floors are copies also. So once you move this wall into place, see, it's going to go right on that corner. This is a good example of how to move something in the right spot. If I start the move command and select this panel, what I really want to do is pick up the back corner behind here, this panel, so that I can get this corner right here. I've got it in place, and then this floor, same thing as a choice. When I want to move the floor in, I'll use move. At first, I can pick up this bottom corner and bring it maybe to the top of this panel. And then when I move this floor in place, I may want to pick up here the perpendicular object snap as an option. So right click on the sixth icon and pick perpendicular, so that when I start the move command and select this floor and enter it, I can pick this corner as my base point. And when I bring my mouse over to this panel, I can pick up here perpendicular.